screen sharing because I'm going to transition us over into looking at pictures in a little bit.
Yes, awesome. Yeah, that is definitely an option. You just have to click some buttons. Maybe you could give us the steps for that and we could add that to our document.
Yeah,
But not now.
not
Some other
now,
time.
but yeah, it was surprisingly uncomplicated.
Cool.
But I know I had tried it once before and it didn't work. So I don't know if I have the system down or I just got lucky today. So probably have a couple more people join us. We still got a minute to go. And I know for some of you, you want to be on the 2 o'clock session that was scheduled next. And so the meditation itself will wrap up a little before then, so you have time to transition over. If you aren't rushing to that and want to stick around, I'll leave it open for some conversation for a little while afterward as well. And welcome, Gino. And Gino, am I remembering, are you calling in from Philippines?
Yes.
Wow. What, it's got to be pre-dawn hours or something there. What time is it?
It's 4:30 in the morning.
Oh my goodness. Oh, well. Thank you for joining. Is this a very late night or a very early morning for you?
It's fine.
Okay.
I'm assuming it's early morning, but we finished a while ago. But yeah, Gino works with us, so we people. I mean, we basically schedule all our sessions with natural time cycles and just sort of a roll of the dice who has to be up in the middle of the night.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, that's been trying to do something similar with Nova Sutras and thought about trying to do the full moon meditation at the time of the full moon, but it looked like you guys had things planned, and in the US it's a holiday and my family did not be on Zoom right then. So
well, we do every full moon, every new moon, every quarter moon. We also do eighth moons.
Oh,
So
wow.
okay. It's like, the planetary sessions are like the main public, that we're trying to connect more. But we go and work. Our work sessions are all planned on the lunar cycles. We do all of our budgeting on the lunar cycles. So it's just like we pretty much completely transfer over as an organization to natural time cycles. And
natural time cycles.
there's still a 24-hour cycle, but it's not really a Gregorian. But obviously, we use the Gregorian calendar too, and we have to, and taxes and all that. So
yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah.
And it's been many years in the making. It took I think we switched over maybe about 3 years ago, but it took 4 or 5 years before that to get there.
Kind of get into getting into that natural rhythm instead of just obeying the bars of the Gregorian calendar. Really, you look at a typical calendar and it really does look imprisoning.
Yes. Well,
welcome, Barbara.
Where are you having these sessions, if I may ask? Where is he having these sessions?
Why?
The moon sessions?
The moon sessions? So for Nova Sutras, we sort of use it largely as a reminder about natural cycles and an opportunity to think about those. So it's
that's actually very similar to us, like under the context of our unity methodology and unity theory. The idea is simply by aligning our consciousness with natural cycles, we transform internally, and there's really nothing else to it. And the fact that we are all aligned as a society with a Gregorian calendar that, by definition, is contrary to the natural systems of the planet, creates a frequency that is destructive. Yes.
So very interesting.
Yeah.
It's still theory, but let's keep experimenting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
it's an experiment with running, for sure.
Running ongoing experimentation.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been starting to do a lot of meditation and stuff now. I've not really been there before. I've had a life with facades, and I've not been true to myself. I've not been, happy or crying or yeah, a lot of things. And now I start meditating, and I kind of, I get it, but I kind of get what you're saying about, full moons, and I really get very emotional or very stressed if something is in between me and like nature. I spend
Yeah.
most of my time outdoors and like yeah. So I get what you're saying about the whole moon and the calendar is different.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to throw it out even further, like like there are billions, if not trillions, of moons in the galaxy and the
Yeah.
universe, and we have one moon. It's the Selenine. So Selenine is our moon, and Selenine in the Selenine calendar is the model that we use for our connection with that planetary body.
Mm.
And it's important to
Cool.
recognize that the term moon is not unique.
Very much.
Just like, Earth or Gaia or whatever we relate to the planet is a unique
Yeah.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been meditating a lot with what they call it, a Buddhist meditation, and today they celebrate the Dharma and the full moon, and they kind of go by a different calendar as well,
Yeah.
and it kind of makes sense going by the nature rather than what we're writing down. So it's very interesting what you're saying. I will go more into that definitely.
Yeah.
For sure.
So welcome. I see Albina and Pressy have joined us. I don't have video for either of you right now, but what I'd like to do before we get started, I really love everyone to just take a moment and think about something, hopefully right outside your door, something out in the living, breathing world that lights you up inside. Something that makes you just want to slow down and say thank you. And that might be right outside. That might be, a walk down the road. That might be a little bit farther away, but something that's close to home that you can really feel grateful for. And I'm going to invite you to just, we'll go around and say your name, say where you're calling in from, and then just tell me that one thing, and I'll model that for you. My name's Michelle. I'm calling in from the Santa Cruz Mountains in California. And a thing right outside my door that I'm always grateful for is California bay laurel that smells wonderful right now. And we'll go around, and Paul, go ahead.
So I am looking out my front window, and there is a beautiful lush bamboo there, and the sun is shining through the leaves, and I have loved the sight of sunlight, that translucent thing that happens with the sun shining through leaves. Since I was little, it still seems like magic to me. And I'm in Santa Cruz, but not in the mountains, by the beach.
And Barbara. Oh, you're muted. There you go.
There you are.
Okay, I'm Barbara, and I'm from Carmel Valley, California. And I'm looking out my sliders right now, and I'm surrounded by very large Monterey pines and California oak trees. The deer come through regularly, birds, squirrels, rabbits. It gives me delight every day.
Beautiful. Thanks, Barbara. Let's see. Pressy, are you available? Can you tell us a little bit about where you're from and what gives you gratitude?
Okay, I'm Pressy. I'm from the Philippines, and every time I can see the sky, I am very gratitude because the world is very big. The sky is it's not ending, but you know, we every day we have all the blessings, and we meet people every day. Even though the world is big, we can meet together like what we are in today.
Oh, thank you, Pressy. And Albina,
Yeah, I'm Albina from Africa, Kenya.
oh, welcome.
Thank you. Something surrounding me tonight is the stars in the sky, street lights. So I'm grateful when we go to the night, we have the light from the moon and the stars. And during the day, we have the light from the sun. So I'm grateful for the moon and the stars. This is my baby.
Wonderful, thank you. Hi. And Jack, why don't you go next?
Yeah. Well, I'm calling in from Copenhagen, and not just outside my door. I have to go 5 minutes, but there's this wonderful little untouched forest with big trees, and it's got a perfect lake where I used to sit just by the lake, and it's filled with joy. And right now it's pouring down, and I've been out sitting by the lake, meditating in the rain, and just I'm so grateful for having that little mark where I can go.
Beautiful. And Gino.
I'm Gino, and I'm from the Philippines, and currently I'm surrounded by dark skies since it's still earlier in the morning. But I'm from outside. It's really I all I can see is clear skies. There's no clouds at all. Uh, these clear skies actually give me hope for each day, because like I know sometime in the future, like all of our uh, worldwide problems like this, the current pandemic and all other issues will be resolved soon. That gives me hope, because there's always a new day afterward. After every time I see the sky above, that's it.
And let's see. Jay, did you get to go yet?
Excellent. My name's Jay. I am in Stanford / Palo Alto, California. Outside my parents' house where I'm at, there is some oak trees, and there is a 8-foot diameter, 130 so foot redwood tree that has been very dear to me my whole life. So that is where I was connecting with and thinking about, and very happy to be here. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Jay. And then I see.
Actually,
Timmy
I did need to add one thing.
Oh.
I did go to UC Santa Cruz at Merrill College, and there's a whole Santa Cruz thing going on here, so I threw that out.
Yes. Thanks, Jay. Temi Tope joined us.
Yes, this is Tim Tokwe from Abuja, Nigeria. Basically, what we have around, the cloud is cloudy around here because it's rainy season, so we just have the rain pouring down. And we have trees, not trees, but we have a garden around. Like have maize planted, because this that's one of the things you can actually do for yourself. You have trees, plants like that around the house, and so you can easily just get your maize without having to go far or go around looking for it. So that's basically what we have around that keeps us a bit hopeful that when there is life, there is hope.
Oh,
Yes.
wonderful. Thank you. So I'm going to bring us into getting closer to meditation now. And as we do that, I'm going to go ahead and mute everyone, and then I'm going to share screen with you. Just a reminder, I will wrap us up a little bit before 2, so you have time to transition to the next event. But if you want to stick around and talk a little bit, there'll be a chance for that as well. So now I'm going to go ahead and mute everyone and share screen with you. Here. So welcome to this full moon meditation. In Nova Sutras, much as in Jay's work, we like to celebrate the phases of the moon because these are global phenomena. Because this is something that we see everywhere in the world the same way. Today, the moon and the sun are on opposite sides of our planet, and so everywhere where it's night, it will be the full moon. It was perfectly full.
It's 2:45.
What, about 18 hours ago? So perfect, in fact, that the Earth cast its shadow on the moon just a bit. We had what's called, oh, now I'm forgetting the word, Paramble? I don't have it right. Anyway, a partial lunar eclipse, where the moon was just in the outer part of the shadow, and in fact was reflecting sunsets and sunrises back at us. Again, this was not visible from everywhere in the world, but it has to do with the way the sun, the earth, and the moon are lined up. And just the fact that we experience this planet-wide reminds us of how interconnected and interdependent we all are. And in Nova Sutras, we talk about the beauty of the living world and our interconnection to it using the terms Agaya and Ubuntu. Agaya is a word that we've come up with. It's a combination of agape, the recognition of universal transcendent love, and Gaia, our recognition of the life of the planet and its ability to create conditions that lead to ever more complex and beautiful life. Ubuntu is the word that may be more familiar. It comes from languages of Southern Africa, and it recognizes our interdependence. We talk about humans as always being interdependent with other species, or with other humans, as requiring community to thrive. And that is true of all species. Trees can only grow because of the microorganisms and fungi in the soil, making nutrients accessible to them. Animals only survive because plants are able to capture the energy of the sun and turn it into food and oxygen. We need that oxygen to metabolize the food. Plants also, flowering plants rely on animals as pollinators and seed dispersers. So this incredible interdependence is expressed in this term Ubuntu. To start by opening sacred space, we use a practice that is familiar in a lot of indigenous traditions of locating ourselves, thinking about the directions around us. But like the Buddhist meditation practices, we send out our wishes for loving kindness and joy and wonder by wishing that all beings in each of the directions abide in Agaya and Ubuntu. And then we start where we are and radiate out with those wishes for our Gaia and Ubuntu. So we'll do this practice of calling the corners, really opening out sacred space, and then we'll settle in for a little bit deeper meditation. So I invite you to follow along with, say this out loud. You'll get the rhythm of, we'll talk about all beings in a direction, abiding in a Gaia and Ubuntu. And if you want to repeat or say along, abide in a Gaia and Ubuntu at the end of those phrases, that will help get you in the space. Or you can just think and feel your way into each of those directions. Feel free to keep your eyes open and look in these directions as we go, and then I'll invite you to close your eyes afterward. But if you'd rather close your eyes to feel into it, that's fine too. I like to start with the direction that the sun is in. So for me, I'm going to start in the south. May all beings to the south abide in a Gaia and Ubuntu. May all beings to the west abide in a Gaia and Ubuntu. May all beings to the north abide in a Gaia and Ubuntu. May all beings to the east abide in a Gaia and Ubuntu. May all beings above abide in a Gaia and Ubuntu. May all beings below abide in a Gaia and Ubuntu. May each one of us abide in a Gaia and Ubuntu. May all the beings near each of us abide in a Gaia and Ubuntu. May all the beings in our watersheds abide in a Gaia and Ubuntu. May all the beings in our bioregions abide in a Gaia and Ubuntu. May all the beings on our island or continent abide in a Gaia and Ubuntu. May all the beings of the world's vast ocean abide in a Gaia and Ubuntu. May all the beings in the light of Earth's sun abide in a Gaia and Ubuntu. May all the beings in the light of Earth's full moon abide in a Gaia and Ubuntu. And may all beings belonging to Earth's beautiful, bountiful, beneficent biosphere abide in a Gaia and Ubuntu. Now I invite you to get settled in a little deeper. Take a few nice, deep, cleansing breaths. Close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. Let your shoulders roll back and drop away. Let your spine lengthen up like the trunk of a great tree. Feel the way the earth pulls you downward and supports your weight. Feel the way the air lifts and expands your chest as you breathe. take a moment to thank our allies, all of the green things that grow, the algae in the oceans, the great trees in the forests, the shrubs and grasses. Thank them for the way that they help us live, providing us with beautiful oxygen to take in and capturing the carbon that we release. The fullness of the moon tonight reminds us of this great abundance that is present, thanks to the light of our sun, reflected so beautifully by our moon, shining down everywhere. Let yourself recognize that illumination. Feel the way the sun on one side of the earth and the moon on the other side of the earth open us up to that fullness. Today, because of that strong pull in each direction, the water of the Earth's ocean moves in high, high tides and low, low tides. Today, because of that pull in each direction, we feel our connection with the past and the future. We can feel our gratitude for the ancestors who went before us, for the future beings who will come after us, as if we are holding hands across time. Feel the way the whole earth is held and embraced, reaching out, holding hands with the energies of the moon and sun. And allow us to feel the connections that we are forming as a community all around the world. These deep connections of Ubuntu. Take in that energy of Ubuntu, of connection and loving kindness. Let it transform in your heart as a gift that you can then offer up to the whole world. A great gift to our little home world. A great gift of loving connection, of interbeing, of Ubuntu. Great gift of joy and wonder and vibrant life. Great gift of a Gaia. Feel that coming from your center and going out to the whole world. few more deep breaths, just sharing Ubuntu and Gaia, feeling it move through you. And gently settle back into your body. Start to wiggle your fingers and toes. Move your arms and legs just a little. Rotate your shoulders. Move your hips. When you're ready, gently, gently open your eyes back up and come into the present. We in the Nova Sutras movement thank you for joining in this moment and sharing these gifts of Gaia and Ubuntu. I'd like to invite you to reach out to others or
It's
reach
3
out to
o'clock.
us if you have ideas for us. We have several upcoming events, and if you could just send me your email in chat, and I can add you to our list to get reminders for our events. Those go out once or sometimes twice a week, but no more than that. We're having our big cross-border event planned for August 6th or 7th, depending on where in the world you are. And you can help us to keep producing online events and find us on most of the usual social media channels in addition to our website at Nova Sutra. So thank you for joining this. If you want to go to that 2 o'clock session, of course, you're free to leave. Again, please drop your email in chat if you want to get notices about our events, if you're not already on our list. And you're free to stick around if you want to talk a little bit about what you just experienced before you move on. And I will unmute everyone and just say thank you and be well. And if you want to reach out and hold hands. All right. Thanks so much.
That was so amazing.
Oh, thank
So
you.
amazing. Thank you. Very emotional, actually. Yeah, thank you for this experience. It's very, very nice.
Thank you. It was beautiful to have you with us. I could feel that.
Thank you. Really.
Yes, thank you very much. I look forward to continuing to collaborate.
Yeah.
And we'll be in touch and see how this all evolves. And we'd love to help and cross-pollinate all of your sessions as best as we can. And then
Yeah, it sounds
I have
like we
lots
have
of questions. So
good.
just
Good.
keep
I'm
going.
still trying to get caught up after World Unity Week, but yeah, let's connect and talk more because obviously we're working on the same project here. So
Yes, the theme of Unity Week, right? Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Feeling it.
All right, I'm gonna go jump on with Elizabeth.
Okay.
Thank you all
Thanks.
so much.
I'll try to catch up soon.
Yeah, great.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Brassy.
Hi, Jay.
Yay.
Hello.
How's it going?
Fresh from the full moon blessing.
Yes, it was awesome.
Was
Very
it?
exciting. Mhm.
Lovely. We have Jack. Hello, Jack. Gino's here. Mia's here.
Hello from Copenhagen, Denmark.
Oh, excellent. That's exciting. We're spanning the globe. We have
We're
Timmy.
all together.
Yes.
It's hard to see your face, Jack. It's quite dark.
There we go. We got
I don't really have more. Well, maybe I do. Ah.
Yeah, there we go. Nice.
Hello.
Thank you.
I
I
forgot
see.
about the lights in the ceiling.
Hello, Pressy. Hello, Timmy Tope.
Hello, Elizabeth.
Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank Pressy for the notes she took yesterday.
Let's add the link. Let's add the link to the notes to the chat. It would be good as well for this meeting.
The link. Oh,
Yeah, they put.
And the record button, Elizabeth.
yes. Thank you, Jim. Thank you for pre-warning me.
Yeah, and we do have the live YouTube broadcast, and that's on the website as well. The link there.
Okay. All right. So for the most for the most part, the people that were over at the full moon meditation have come over. Should we wait a few more minutes?
I think maybe missing one, possibly two, but I think we're good.
Okay. Beautiful.
It's possible Albina just came for the full moon meditation. Who knows? So
Okay.
I didn't ask her.
How you feeling, Danalia? You ready to jump in?
Did you want to lead something, the open connection with water to begin,
Yeah.
like we did yesterday, and then I will carry on from there?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm going to do a short vocal meditation, and then I'm going to put on a video, which is, let's see, how long is it? I think it's,
Oh,
yes.
sorry, Elizabeth, I forgot. Yeah, we do have the video. I have the other video ready too.
Okay.
And we can put yours at the end, as you said.
Yeah, so you have yours ready? You want to go with yours?
Yeah, yeah. Can you talk over it, or?
I think so. Yeah.
We're
I think
trying an experiment, everyone. Okay, so I go to share screen, and then.
And you have it up ready in your player, right? So go to share screen and find it in your options.
I think you need to enable screen sharing for me.
Oh, I haven't made you host yet. Okay. Okay. There you go. You're now the host.
Okay. So what I'm about to play is a video I shot just yesterday or the day before. We've had tremendous amount of rain here, and there was stunning images in my river, Ishtako Fraser, who's come right up over the banks into a normally human-only area in our city. And so I was so inspired.
Stop you for a minute. Now that you're host, you need to push record. Or actually, let me, sorry, give me host back and let me record so I can have it going to my cloud.
Thank
Sorry.
you, everyone. That's okay.
For your patience. So have you made me host yet?
I do that with you?
You have to make me host, yeah.
From the share screen button?
No, from up above my name in the upper right-hand corner, there's 3 dots. for more, and you open that up and you'll say make host. There we go, gotcha, okay. So now I'm recording, and I'm gonna make you host back again. Okay, there you go. So now you can share screen.
Thank you. Blessings, everyone. Thank you to our Watershed Wisdom Council. Second session this weekend focused on visioning and next steps. We're going to open with a water connection experience. I'm about to play a video which comes from my river here in Canada. The water level is very high. It's come up over onto the human area in the park. And so I photograph this and offer this as a contemplation to connect us with our inner and outer waters. Sorry, Elizabeth, I click share screen and
find the video in your share screen choices, and then you can hit play.
So it says music or computer sound only? No, files.
No, did you hit share screen?
Yes, and it's telling me in basic, it's showing desktop, whiteboard, iPhone, iPad.
Huh. No, to the green box to the left, which not the menu selection to the right.
All right, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I seem to only have one option in the share screen to the right. It's
okay.
more about, yep.
Why don't you make me host and we'll show my video then?
Okay. All right.
So this is 2 minutes long, and this is just go ahead and make me host again. Sorry. Technical.
Oh, on your picture again.
Right hand, yeah.
Thank you. All right. There we go.
There we go.
Water flows.
Water flows.
Back and forth. Back and forth.
Great.
So this is an animation that's just a 2-minute meditation. So you can turn up your volume. Just take a minute to really breathe into that and recognize the Van Allen belt of our atmosphere. This is the earth tone and the earth ohm. Ohm yourself if you would like along with it. Just take a minute to breathe into that perspective of Earth. Feel that vibrational frequency in your body. Breathe into that. We are one life. Of all that water, only 1% of it is fresh water. It's precious, precious, precious. We are together within this life. We've all followed this impulse to be here today.
It's 3:15.
What?
That was just my computer automatically telling us it's 3:15. Sorry.
Oh, thank you. I was wondering.
My computer does a bold every half hour, every 15 minutes, every bottom of the hour. So.
Okay. So, kind of just grounding in that reality that we are within that droplet, that closed system, that water cycle of life. We open up our session and pass the bowl, the crystalline bowl of water to Daniela.
Thank you, Elizabeth. My name is Daniela, and I'm just tuning in for where to begin. To give you a brief overview of what our outcome is for the session today, we have a second reflection question, and I'll say a little bit about the original one when we get to that time. That reflection question will be offered to us as a group. There'll be a short, perhaps 2 to 3 minute meditation time where we're each invited to reflect on the question, then make some notes about what we saw, what we heard, what we felt, what we imagined. Then we'll have a focused sharing of those notes. And then from there, we would like to use the remainder of the session to look at what has come through for us and which of those pieces can be picked up immediately and looked at from the lens of what are our next steps, which pieces would we like to work on, potentially with another partner. So this is the whole experience for today. Part of it imaginal and sourcing energy, divine feminine energy. The other more action oriented. What are the next steps towards what we're bringing through in relation to watershed councils in our planet? So to begin, I invite us to go around and to bring in just with our name and where we are on Earth. And please include also the name of the body of water that is closest to you geographically in space. So in light of our time today and our dual focus, I invite you the name of the body of water, and if there's something significant, perhaps it might be polluted, perhaps it's an underground water source, that might be relevant in understanding its voice and the medicine that it brings today. So I'll begin. My name is Daniela Castell. I am currently in northern British Columbia, Canada. I'm on the unceded territory of the Lheidli T'enneh, and the closest body of water to me is the Hudson Bay wetland. So I pass the talking stick.
My name is Jack. I'm from Copenhagen, Denmark. And the nearest body of water is, I actually don't know the lake's name, but it's in a forest at Amager, which is in Copenhagen.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
And thank you. And welcome to the spirit of the lake that lives in the forest near Amager. We welcome you to our council table.
Thank you
Jack.
very much.
Someone next? I invite you to unmute and jump in.
Okay. So my name is Maya Voce, and I'm here this morning from the big island of Hawaii. I'm here on the top of a volcano, and the water that I call in is the Pacific Ocean. That's the closest to us. But specifically what's coming in is Honolulu, which is the black sand beach, which is closest to our house here, and where I offered the water blessing for Unity Water Day last week, or 2 weeks ago now. I stood on those shores because that water calls me. It's just such a sacred space. And if you've been there, it just looks so beautiful with the black sand. But it's that beach that's called me in to be a part of this meeting today. So I'd like to call that water in Honolulu.
Blessings and welcome to beloved Mother Pacific Ocean and this Pacific beach that Maya has brought in. Thank you and welcome to our council table. Next person.
I'm happy to go next. My name's Jay. I am in California, San Francisco Bay Area, Stanford, Palo Alto area, and the closest creek is San Francisco Creek. Although I'm looking at a map, and it seems that I'm right in the middle, in between San Francisco Creek and Barron Creek, which is on the other side. No, not Barron Creek, Matadero Creek. So it goes Matadero Creek's on one side, and then San Francisco Creek is on the other. And there is this little itty bitty tiny trickle of water in between both of those. That's the closest, that doesn't have a name. But the little itty bitty trickle of water is the one that's definitely below ground, and is tubed. And I feel like I'm connected the most with that one because I walk by it the most. It's like nearby. So I need to figure out if it has a name. But the San Francisco Creek I feel is the closest one. Yes, check.
Welcome back to our council table, San Francisco Creek. Also hearing that Matadero Creek is also in your community, in your area, as well as a smaller underground water. Thank you all to the table. Blessings.
I would like to welcome my friend Kareem from West Africa. Hello, Kareem. If you want to present yourself, give your name and where you're located, and the closest water body to you, where you are geographically. You're on mute, love. You're on mute.
You're on mute.
You have to unmute. Kareem, you have to unmute. There you go.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'm so glad to be part of this meeting, this call again. My name is Abdul Karim. I'm from Guinea Conakry, but now I'm staying in Mauritania, precisely in Nouadhibou. So it's a nice pleasure for me to talk something about water. Water is something that is connecting like all of us. It's when we take everything, it's water that precedes all else. are interconnected, and water is life. Water is everything. You know, it's feeding us. It's our Mother Earth. You know, we always are using water, you know, to live, and we all know that without water, there is no life. There will not be, you know, any kind of life on Earth. You know, from plants, from we human beings, you know, real species, we all need water. I think it's very essential to protect our Mother Earth for us and for future generations. So to keep, you know, living, you know, in a good health. I think water is what unify, you know, all mankind, all
Kareem?
species on Earth.
Kareem?
It's very, very important. Yeah.
So Kareem, do you have the water body near you? Do you know the nearest water body near you? You're in the desert, so I'm guessing it's a well.
You know, when we look around the world every year, we know that there are many places that are in lack of clean water. So that means that if we
Kareem?
don't take care of water, yeah,
We're just introducing ourselves right now. Do you understand? This is just the first part where we're introducing ourselves. Good.
okay, very good. Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you for getting on with us.
Okay, I'll go. Jim Graywolf. I'm in Pennsylvania right now. I think physically the nearest water is the confluence of the Susquehanna, the Conowingo, and the Octorara, where all three come together. It's just a couple miles down the road.
Whew. Okay. Thank you, Jim. And thank you for bringing in the confluence of these three rivers and the energy that confluence brings coming together. Hi, and thank you for coming to the council table. And just for clarity with anyone else who's going to speak, what we're doing here is we're creating the virtual space in which we're bringing ourselves as member of this council, and we're also including the body of water that is geographically near us, because we're inviting water's voice to the table. And so this is where you get to bring in the name of the body water that's closest to you, and then we'll continue with the process that we'll do as a group. So who hasn't spoken yet?
I will go next. My name is Gino, and I'm from the Philippines. And the nearest body of water is the Ibayo Creek, similar as yesterday's.
Yes, thank you, and welcome back, Abayo Creek. Welcome. And who's next?
I'll jump in. It's Elizabeth. I'm in California, Northern California, in the Ubo watershed. My closest body of water is a short creek called Squirrel Creek.
Let's welcome Squirrel Creek to our council table. Next.
And I'm from the Philippines. And I know now what is the name of the river. It is named after my place, Hugo Perez or Cabezas River. It is connected into the. It is a very long river connected in the mountain, and a river where we call Indang River. It is one of the cleanest river in my place, the Indang River, where people go and um, go for swimming and hang out in there. So unfortunately, the river beside my house or at the back of my house is polluted. But I'm happy to know that the part of it is clean.
Mm. And Pressy, did you say it's Indun or it's the first very long name that you
Indang.
Indang.
Yes.
Indang. Okay.
Indang River.
Beautiful. So we welcome the Indong River to our council table, and we welcome all of you and your full true spirit, and in all the condition that you are, both pristine and polluted. So welcome, welcome. Thank you.
It's just
Thank you very much.
Okay, so I'm Timmy Topper from Nigeria, Abuja, Nigeria. So like I said, yes, the closest water body to me is the underground water, which we refer to as the well water.
Beautiful.
So that's where we get.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you for bringing in the well water and the water that lives underground. Yeah, welcome, welcome. And Albina, are you next?
Yes, I'll go next. I'm Albina from Kenya. The water body that surrounds me is the lake. This is Lake Victoria. It's the largest lake that covers three countries, Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda. So it gives us the boundaries of three countries, our neighboring countries, Lake Victoria.
Wow. Whew. Beautiful. Thank you, Albina. Wow, I can feel the ancientness of the spirit of this lake. Wow. Welcome. And thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else who hasn't spoken yet? Is that everyone?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, all right, beautiful. So I'm going to invite, do people have water beside them, whether it's a glass of water, a jar, a bowl? Do you have something? Beautiful, beautiful. So I'm going to invite us to begin the process of dropping our awareness into the water space of our body. For some, it helps when we hold water for this. If you have an open bowl, sometimes what I choose to do is I choose to put the 3 or 4 fingers into the bowl of the water. And I open my heart, and the water gets to know me and my heart instantly through that connection. For others, you might feel called to just hold the bowl, and the spirit and the energy of water will, of course, start to meld with your body. Others, for me, I have a jar. I leave my river. He'll sit in my lap throughout our whole exchange together. So I'm just going to begin with a little bit of guided visualization, guided meditation, just to bring us down into the area of contemplation. To invite you to connect your awareness with your breath. And invite you to join me in breathing the water breath. So we'll inhale long and slow through your nostrils, hold for a few seconds, drop your lower jaw, exhale long and slow. So inhaling together, drop your lower jaw, and again inhaling, filling our belly, drop your lower jaw, exhale long and slow. I invite you to continue breathing with the water breath on your own. Now begin to speak to the water. Beloved sacred elemental being, Master Elemental Water. Good afternoon, Great One. We are here again today with your kin, your representatives in the form of creeks, wells, Mother Ocean, rivers, wetlands, all of these places in which you live and reside among us. We are here today to continue our contemplation with you around what does our world look like now that water sovereignty has been enshrined into law in all levels of government across our world. So with you, we take ourselves into this place of imagining what our world looks like now that this has happened. We know that you have always carried the seeds of this vision in your being. Your ways are ones of inclusivity and flowing and moving and being in a way in which creates life for all beings, inequality. So those beings who are sitting in council with us and beside us as humans, we invite you to join your voices with the human bodies of water you are living with, to contemplate this question. Now that water has legal personhood in law, now that water is recognized as a sovereign being who has its own right to flow, to live, and to evolve, what does my life look like now? Who is in my life? What is my work? What organizations, structures, and forms do I see around me, locally, in my watershed, in my province, or in my country, that help to give voice to water, to facilitate water sovereignty, integrated in with our life as humans? So I invite you to allow your imagination to soar, to imagine outside of the box. Our world, your world, now that water and its sovereignty has a full right of place in our society. Mama way, Mama way, invite you to continue to imagine. We'll have a couple of minutes of silence. And when you feel complete, I invite you to write and make notes about what you saw and what you heard. And I invite you, whoops, sorry, there we are. So if you haven't already begun to make some notes or drawings about what you saw or what you heard, I invite you to do so now. So I invite you to come back into our virtual council space together.
It's 3:45.
So we'll begin the sharing, and in the interest of time, I invite us to be what I would call laser, or to share in a format that's like reporting the news. You're sharing what you actually experienced, rather than making any meanings with it yet. So just the facts. So I'll model that and go first. I saw the need for local water councils. Some watersheds, my watershed is huge, and I see the need for local teams of people, and they're connected to our city government. So there's a voice that goes from our river and the wisdom of our river to our city government. One of the clearest piece I got was the need, now that the water sovereignty has been enshrined in law, it's now imperative that we actually begin to study with water and with the bodies of water that are in the various watersheds. I also was shown that because some countries have a great deal of water and some have very little, how that water is cared for, and the wisdom that that particular water has to share with its local residents will be unique to that area. So essentially, it's the launch or the start of humanity actually learning directly from the individual bodies of water, and how best that we can be in council with them and protect and care for them. Thank you. Who would like to go next? Anyone else ready to share? Jim?
Yeah, okay, I will. Pardon me. I mostly heard things, so I'll try to capture what I heard. I heard the water rushing, I heard the chimes, I heard tingas. And then I saw big dams being rebuilt so that and some being destroyed, so that the fish could better move up our rivers, but also they were serving as means to cleanse the water. And that was it.
Beautiful. When you said as a means to clean the river, so the dam was repurposed a little bit to.
Yes, I think that's what I was saying. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. Whew. Thank you. And thank you to that confluence. Who's next?
I can go next. This is Jay. I also sent notes over. So the first thing I got from water in the context, I mean, there was many questions. One of the questions was like, what is the right to live and flow and work, and what does that evolve, and what does that look now like now? So one of the responses was that, if the water is going to be okay, right? That the water has the ability and power to come back and evolve on its own, and that came back to the context where it's like the concern is actually on the humans in the long term, and the water, it wants to be a joint partner in supporting human growth and evolution as well, and specifically other species and other organisms that it's also very concerned about, as not just the humans. And that we can work together to co-evolve and live in harmony, right? And so what does that look like? One is that for us who are light workers to continue the work that we're doing, you know, and supporting and continuing that work, and because it's so easy to get bogged down and a lot. And then also, I think the overall arching message was at a larger scale of our society to change the way that we are living our everyday lives. So the key things which you've heard before, but like slowing down, and that's part of what this pandemic is sort of forcing upon us across the world, and creating space for time and empowerment, and space to turn light and love into action and work for and with the commons. So, you know, what that might look like is life even in populated cities might be slower and at a pace and a harmony and balance where people have time for their families and their loved ones, and also have time to do, and it seems like it would be daily, weekly, monthly civic engagement if they so choose, that there's really, that's part of the time and space that is allotted for communal work, not just like private work for money, but also, you know, common work for our civic engagement. And then also, and that's value, right, that they're getting. And then also what I felt directly from the representation and information of the water bodies themselves is daily connections and updates between the local guardians and or stewards, or however that works. And then weekly and monthly reporting from every water body across the world, like that we would see this continual reporting coming across the world from all of the water bodies, and it would create this immense stream of knowledge and information and wisdom. It would just be just this, like, it just, wow. Like, wow. Yeah. Yeah, the amount of knowledge and information that would be coming from all, yeah, and shared with the world constantly, it would just be a lot. It would be beautiful. And also checking in on everything, you know, to begin with, to check in on how the status of certain, especially some of the ones that have, you know, basic life needs and are in harm's way, to be seeing them and getting the monthly updates about their improvements. Check.
Well, those are mighty powerful little creeks and waters in you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
This is Elizabeth. This is already a fairly evolved visioning, so I took it sort of beyond the diagrams I showed yesterday in how to actually get the inspiration. So, and it was kind of brought into law, because part of instituting these councils in watersheds around the world was part of actually bringing the law into actualization. So that when it is in law, these councils that have been formed in order to support the water sovereignty are now moving less into advocacy and more into actual on the ground actions. And we have the vast database that Jay just saw. We've collected who's who and who's doing what in what regions, and we have everybody knowing that there's a way to find out what's happening upstream or downstream from them, or in similar ecosystems across the planet, and or with similar pressures from other forces that we're now coordinated in terms of our actions. And on the river itself, we have sort of river ambassadors that are on the river as people engage. And so if there's behaviors that aren't in alignment with the agreements of the community, that they can be gently educated and reminded, or and the monitoring in terms of testing in terms of testing water quality. So this then ensures that the enactment of the law is in fact maintained by the people on the ground. So, thank you. Check.
Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth. Next.
I'll go next.
Yes, Gino.
So from what I saw from the meditation, it's a world free from any problems, a world that has very little pollution, a world where everyone around the world loves and respects each other, a world where the water governs all. This is a world where water flows its way without any hesitations. We live with water and we should treat it as something important, something special in our lives, and we can't take it for granted. Water in itself is life, and water is me. We are water.
Thank you, Gino. Someone else, what did you see or hear, feel?
I'll go next.
Yes, please.
Yeah, for me, I had water drops. I don't know where it was coming from, but this gave me a revelation for water preservation, creation of awareness to human consumption or need of preservation of
Albina, you cut out. Are you still there?
for future use. How are we impacting in the human being that water is important for our lives? We can't live without water. So we
Sorry, Albina, you're going in and out.
need to preserve water.
Thank you. Albina, you cut out quite a bit. We missed a lot of what you said. Is it possible for you to put it in the chat for us?
Yeah, let me put it in the chat. I think it's for connection. I'll put in the chat.
Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful. Who's next? We've got Maya. Would you like to share?
Yes, there. Yes, so I'm Maya, and I'll go next. I just would like to share, I moved inside because just when we were concluding the meditation, it started pouring. So I'll just bring that in. Now the sun's out and there's a big rainbow. So somebody's listening to all of this beautiful work.
Yes, Smarty Pants water.
So when we began the meditation, instantly I was at that Punalu'u, the spot. So obviously that's where Ocean is speaking to me and bringing wisdom into this council. And when you said, who do you see at your side? I saw my daughter, my 11-year-old by my side. And this has been a common theme of my work lately, is bringing in the children and educating them and bringing this core value of respect. You know, it's not just teaching children to not throw plastic in the water, but it's reuniting that sense of the sacred, which is what Jay knows I spoke about yesterday, and bringing in the essence of the rainforest and the spirit of the rainforest yesterday into my sharing. So that was an element, a big element, is let's not forget that they're the generation to come. And we're starting something here, but we need to include them as well. So for me, that's what came through very powerfully. And of course, she's been with me 11 years and knows a lot of this work already. So she's, you know, a magical little child. Something similar to you, I was getting the sense of connection, and that there was like beams of light coming together. So either nonprofits that exist and just bringing this element of water to them. I mean, there's so many organizations that exist already that are doing work of their own, maybe not water per se, but just bringing that to them and saying, you know, let's unify this sense of the respect for water. That sense of respect again. It's not just, you know, don't throw plastics in and pollution, but connecting to that sacred element and listening to water. I forget who said that now, and bringing the message of water to the table. that came through also very strongly in these small groups I was seeing, and letting water speak. Water's, I think someone said, I was standing in my meditation in front of the ocean. And the ocean is saying, I am powerful, I'm here. But again, you all need a little work. So how can we reconnect to that divine element of water and reconnect to our own divine element within us, which is water? Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mother Ocean. Someone else. Temitope, do you have something today?
Yeah, basically, I just have this feeling of rushing water, and I really don't have any particular connections about rushing waters for now, but that's basically what I just have for now.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful.
Very powerful.
Yeah.
The feeling and sensation of rushing water, and
I know.
Yeah, we're going somewhere.
It's power. Power. Now, am I not seeing Jack? Oh, and Pressy. Yes.
Okay, I will go next.
Thank you.
In the middle of our meditation, I flash back on my young age. Before we can, in my young age, I grew up that we can swim in the canal. We can get food them some shells, some crabs, and some shrimp. When water evolve and water become are back to normal or crystallize again, like what we have used to have when we are young. I want to go back there. I want my child to experience what I experienced, because nowadays we are very worried about the bills, water bills that we are creating every day. But before, I don't care about the water bills because the water is flowing freely 24/7 in my place. We can swim in the canal, and even the rivers can be a source of food. We can catch fish and get shells there. So when everything is fine, when the water evolve again and heal itself, I want my child and other generation experience what we experienced before, because it's a pleasure to be in the nature.
Thank you. And I feel how so possible this is. Yeah. Our water knows how to heal itself, has already been shared. Thank you, Pressy. So I'm seeing that perhaps Karim is no longer on the call, and or Jack either.
Yeah, we lost Jack and Kareem.
Okay, great. So thank you, everyone. And thank you to each of the bodies of water who contributed, and thank you, the water field and Great Water, for your collaboration in our imagining and our visioning. Now, I'm just going to actually just do this, just to close this place of imagining and honoring. So thank you, everyone. And We're now changing gears, if you will, to turn our attention to this this information that we've received, with an eye to what aspects of what has come through do we feel called to begin taking some next steps towards, whether it's research, whether it's education, whether it's materials, etc. So I'm metaphorically, or I'm handing over the baton to you, Elizabeth, to steward us in this area. And I know also Jay is great from an organizational brain perspective as well. So where do we go from here with what we have?
Yes. So our visioning was in the future. Yes, we were. Hello, Sta. Greetings. Just to welcome you, Sta. We're sort of in mid process here. We've done some visioning as to what we see when water sovereignty is enshrined in law. How does that look in our world? And so now we've done around with that, and we're coming back to what tasks can we get behind in order to bring this further into reality.
Fabulous, great. But let me offer something to you. It is not a conversation. It's a dialogue. We're in dialogical interaction these days. It's a big difference. That dialogue is deep listening. Dialogue is deep connection. Dialogue is deep interpersonal relationships of acceptance of all. Okay, sorry to interrupt. Okay, I love what you're all doing. I wish I could spend more time with you. Okay, but I'll hang out here.
Thank you. Thank you for hanging out.
Yeah, I'll try and get a video to you from Werner Burke. Werner Burke is the #1 organization development transformation person in the world, the most published. He's at Columbia University.
Excuse me, Sta.
Yes.
Good evening. My name is Danalia Castell. We are actually right in the middle of a deep listening process. We just completed it, and now we're going to go to next steps. Do you mind putting what you have into the chat so we can continue?
I will try and figure out how to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's at the bottom of your screen. You'll see a box chat. You can open that up.
Yeah.
Very good. So part of the next steps is not next steps in the future. It's next steps in terms of where we are now, as I feel into this for myself. And I think the biggest is to really begin building a database for invitations. You know, having a template as to how a watershed wisdom council could work in general, and provide some materials for people in their own communities to inspire this perspective, because it is a shift of a perspective of putting water first, and with the group that Jim and Maya from yesterday and myself are involved in, we have a water pledge that we've created, and this could be something that we could make available for every watershed council, and we have a video that we've made that just basically describes why it's important, what the imperative is, and how water is our common bond and our common kind of nurturing. Water nurtures us all, as we should nurture water. So I think one is just the commitment that building a network is important and valuable, and that it's worthy of our agreements to spend time bringing it forth in the world. And so for me, that's really the next step, is trying to create some kind of upswell of interest in fact protecting our watersheds. And I see that building every day. More and more people have more interest. So how do we identify those people and sort of initiate them as stewards and guardians, and inspire the deep dialogue in terms of how a movement like this could serve them in their lives, in their future, and in their watersheds. So. You're on mute.
Sorry. Awesome. Okay. So, thank you. What I'm asking, and I'm asking help from the group at this moment. So we've mined some beautiful new visions through what we've each brought through, and how do we take this information then and turn it into something concrete that we would like to work on? For example, it could be in our own area, or so for example, may I look at you, the children piece, that piece was very strong in terms of how does that relate to a water council, how making these connections now for us individually. I hear, Elizabeth, that what you're speaking into is something you've been holding and you're wanting to work with. And I also heard there were lots of other pieces that were brought through. And so help me. I'm putting this out to the group too. It's how do we go from this raw material to something tangible to work on? Yeah, Jim.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, and that's what I was kicking around. I personally need some time to let all of these inputs just flow through me. There was some amazing sharings here, and a lot of interconnections, but a lot of things which I've never thought of or have never entered my awareness. So I think some amount of time would be helpful, because I can't really answer your question right now. How do we make it concrete? I'm not sure.
Yeah, like I hear you, and with your in the case with the dams, that was an incredible thought, about how dams could potentially be repurposed to actually serve water rather than prohibit it. Yes, yeah. Jay, do you have any suggestions? You're often someone who goes from concept to execution.
Wow. So many, but where to even get started? So, in my mind, the two most important things to get started are, I love the concept of time. I agree with Jim 100%. That's part of why in our structures for the FQN and the Community and Unity Network, it's not about trying to do anything. It's about being present, which is our focus is on the scheduling. And so we are committed to the natural time cycles, which is the Earth sessions, the lunar sessions, the Venus sessions coming up July 10th, the Mars session August 3rd. And so in coming to that understanding and a grounded agreement that we have a perpetual infinite space to communicate, it relieves the pressure of time, in allowing gaps in between when we unite and come together so that we're able to do everything we need to do in our lives. So with that said, the Venus sessions on July 10th, and that is definitely a possibility. I believe it's just if we did the same thing with like a 2-hour open session and then took an hour break and then did this would end up probably being around 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so it'd be a little bit more during the day than early in the morning last time. And then there's the Mars session, which is August 3rd after the harmonic convergence, and that one is I can't remember. Someone maybe could look up the schedule on that, but I believe it could be any time, day or night. We'll have to double check. But we can also schedule any time we want to. It doesn't have to be like this one. We're doing it just at 2 p.m. On a Sunday, so that's also perfectly fine. But it could still be kind of aligned with these planetary sessions. So in the Mercury sessions happen every month and a half. Obviously, full moons, new moons happen once a month, twice a month. So those are all possibilities. I'm also open to weekly sessions for maybe people who want to get more involved. So that's one side of it. The second side of it is the vocabulary. So I think that there is still a lot of overlapping vocabulary, and just stepping back and just spending the time to list out different terms that people are using, especially we have different groups and models of communication and cultures, and even the intercombination and use of words between councils, organizations, networks, the different sides of the legal versus the sides of the communication and the stewardship. I mean, there's all these different terms that are being used, and they're overlapping, and so having understanding even the context, like what is a council? Are we a council? Is there a council of councils? What does it look like at different levels? So I'm still a little confused on that, because there's a lot of terms being thrown out that potentially mean the same thing, but I don't know, right? So even having a space to just delve into vocabulary, even though it might be kind of boring, could actually help everything move a lot faster. And then the last thing I'll say at this point is I see two very different tracks. One track is the organizational track, or the work, the staffing, the work, the websites, the if there's money involved, the budgets. So that's one track. And then the other track, and that could also involve councils and water wisdom. And then the other track is more of an external interrelationship with, I heard the term, there was a term I heard of, it might have been initiation, I couldn't remember, but basically people coming from the public, whether it's a one person or 1,000 people, in training them and guiding them on how they can meet their goal of becoming a water steward, or joining the forces, not necessarily internal to the everyday work of the organizational systems, depending on whether we have that track going, but just more of like an external track. That they are in partnership, not internally but externally, to build their own groups and organizations locally and around the world. So I think that's pretty much what I have to share right now. But obviously, it's like a drop in the bucket of the bigger things. But I do feel in my mind or consciousness that it's not a question of if people are interested in this. It's the question of how many, right? Is it like, whether it's 1 or 1,000 or how many could want to get involved in the longer run, it should be equal. It should be like, it doesn't matter whether there's one more person or whether there's 1,000 or 100 or 1,000, or eventually maybe it's tens of thousands or more. But the process should be equal to each person to be able to engage how they would be interested to. Check.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jay. Thank you. One of the things that I was aware of when I looked at what we harvested yesterday from the question, I am water, what does water sovereignty mean to me, was that we will need to have a document that basically says we recognize that water is, and there's some common that relates to water sovereignty. And that document, of course, would be agreed on by the group, but it begins that conversation of having a common term or vocabulary of what is water sovereignty, and when we use that term, everybody has the same understanding. And to me, this feels like a document. I certainly have one already because of my work in water sovereignty in the last decade, and it was in my mind to get that, as well as what came through yesterday as well, and to see about drafting that particular document. So that's just something that came to mind.
Yeah, and I don't want to go right now. Let's go to Mia, but I do want to speak to sovereignty and some of the legal sides of it, but it's a kind of a separate discussion. So let's go to Mia, and we'll maybe come back to me at some point.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm just trying to, because I wasn't present yesterday and new to this group, understanding the overall structure. So maybe to what Jay was referring to as vocabulary. So this group we're calling a watershed council for right now, like a think tank, more or less. We're coming together. And then what I was seeing when Elizabeth mentioned is each of us being the local watershed council representative, and was very resonating with her when she was talking about a pledge for water. And just to mention for a second, I've created in the past year the Be Kind Revolution, and what Jay is saying is very similar to the structure of my organization, is that I just channeled what is kindness, what is compassion, and wrote a very simple pledge. So there's like two layers happening at once. One is the foundation, the pillar, which is myself and a couple other individuals. And what we're doing is reaching out to the world and asking them to commit. It's a very big theme for me, is this commit, this pledge. It's like a recommitment to Mother Earth almost, this baptismal moment. But it's a very simple document for points that we've written, and we're asking the world to become kindness crusaders, to step up. So what I'm seeing is something very similar here, is that we have this council, this think tank, let's say for right now, of beautiful people. But if each of us was in our own areas, bringing this wisdom through and connecting with other nonprofits, perchance, other organizations, but really taking whatever the core element is, sovereignty, or whatever the elements we decide is important. Simplify though. A lot of the work I do, I try to keep things very simple. That's just something that's come up through my work. And just unifying, having this common document that we can unify other groups. But again, keeping us as this pillar, the information coming through and feeding out. So just to share that, because I can start tomorrow. If we said, I can be Watershed Council tomorrow with information, I'm ready to go. Because I am an Aries, I'm ready to incorporate that into the company that I've existed already. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just need to get it going and spreading is what I'm feeling. So I'm happy to go right away. Whatever we decide.
Right away.
I'll mute now.
Boy.
Someone else, and I'm just doing a time check. It's 3:22, so we do have 8 minutes left, and we'll just leave a minute or something to close in some way as a group. Someone else, what are your thoughts?
Hi, this is Arnyani and Adragon. We just wanted to say we just now got on the call. We were off the grid today and at Terra Nova to celebrate the harmonic convergence, but we just wanted to say hello, and we've got some exciting water news to share. We've just been really spending more time with the water in our own Help Me Water business, and also just sitting with the water and feeling the energy right now. And the age of Aquarius, is such a powerful time in the harmonic convergence, and feeling the energy of the water is very present right now. And we've been joining the Unify calls as well for the global meditation going on for harmonic convergence. So there's a lot of energy and a lot of prayers for the water right now, and we love what you guys are doing. We hate that we missed the call, but we just wanted to say hello and keep us informed. Definitely. We hated to miss the call, but we were just off the grid. We couldn't get a service. So apologies about that.
Well, you're here now.
Thank you. Thank you, Ariana, Adragan. Anyone else have something to say before we close? Because I'm also remembering that I have that beautiful video of the reflective water that might be a great way to finish, because we're in this place of wanting more time. And So, Albina, Pressy, Temitope, anybody else have anything to say? Jay, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I mean, if anyone wants to go first, that's fine, but I definitely have some things to add as well.
No, if you have something to add, go ahead, because I think you might be the last person. And then I think, Elizabeth, have you got the video that I sent you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jay.
So, firstly, on the time context, I don't know exactly how to say it the best way, but I'm big time into having time to meet again in the future. Like whether it's the Venus session, the Mars session, or Gregorian calendar, whatever. But for me, that doesn't disassociate in the context of just being in the present now, right? And I am fully committed to this space and this process in whatever it takes, and I don't care if we spend the next 6 hours doing this. Like anybody and whoever wants to just jump in and figure out what we can. In my eyes, I feel like we're just getting started. In terms of the conversation reaching a point of what was the best way to say, like we're getting somewhere, and I'm really excited about that. And so that's just what my point of view. I'm happy to close the segment of the session that we were in. I feel like we do have a list of next steps, and let's make sure we get all the next steps of everybody. Take a break, see who else might want to continue talking, but I'm definitely available. And we have the Unity conference room as well if we needed to switch rooms or anything like that. But as far as being sorry you missed it, I don't think you missed anything. We're all here together. You were at the previous call. It's like, don't worry about that. And as far as the things that I wanted to share, I'm big time into the concept of simplexity. So this is definitely not a simple concept that I'm going to try to share here. But I tried to do my best to downsize it into a simplexity model as opposed to the complex, systems modeling that I work with. The easiest way to say it is that I'm a big time into actuality. I'm big time into what we live in a conscious third, fourth, and fifth dimensional time-space framework. And it's not all simple, right? There is a simplexity to it. And if we try to build systems that are not in alignment with the systems modeling of the planet and the universe, so there's a give and take there. So anyways, the what I wanted to share is basically, I would call it a matrix model, and this relates specifically with sovereignty. And there's 3 categories in this matrix, and all 3 categories interlace in a 4th and 5th dimensional matrix that I don't want to get into right now, but I'm just going to give the categories. So I don't know what the names of the categories are, but one set, and each one has 3 parts. Let's go through the sovereignty one first. There's representation, there's rights, and there's sovereignty. So representation, rights, and sovereignty, each one of those 3 components is very different in its importance and represents a very different purpose and goal. But all are essential for sovereignty. Without representation and without rights, it's very difficult to also have sovereignty, but you can have representation without sovereignty, and you can have rights without sovereignty or representation, right? So each of those 3 components are actually not mutually exclusive, right? The next one is needs, voice, and support. So there's the needs of the body, there's the voice of the body, and then there's the support of that body. So in the context that, regardless of whether you have sovereignty or rights, you also have needs, a voice, or you may not have a voice, and support of that particular body. And then the third category is really just this, the simple part of what we're talking about. We have humans, we have non-humans, and we have water. So in the context of humans, right, you can interlace the humans with all the other parts. You have human needs, you have human representation, you have human rights, you have the human voice, you have human sovereignty, right? In terms of non-humans, you have non-human needs, you have non-human rights, you have non-human sovereignty, you have non-human all that, and you have water. You have water needs, water rights, water sovereignty, water support. So for me, it's this simplex interrelationship of all of those components, which could co-create many different spaces and many different organizations. And the most important thing that I had in a realization was the concept that to truly get water sovereignty, you need water to have a voice, and giving water a voice is really a separate process than representing or having sovereignty for water, right? And in that same process, the number one issue of giving giving a voice in representation to water is the bias of the human representative doing that voice. So in order to acknowledge that bias and to build that sovereignty recognition, it's very important to collaboratively have space for human representation and human needs, because if you don't create that space, then it will spill over and intertwine with the representation, the voice of water, right? So that was just the overall, you know, and it's a structure, but it's a 3/4 dimensional matrix. Check, done.
Yep. Thank you, Jay. I mean, this is, in my opinion, this is the next level that we have to go into. And this sort of thing is the rights of nature movement has been, you know, working at predominantly at the legal level, and in on the ground has only even filled out some of these pieces, right? The whole thing isn't old enough yet that it's been addressed on each of these levels. But I really appreciate to do this, because unless we address all beings as a whole and our interdependent relationship, we are in that separation model, right? And there's areas that we're ultimately going to be recreating some of the old patterns that we've been at before. So I just really acknowledge that it's 3:30. And I know that Jim had to go, and I know that I have to go as well. So what we haven't decided is when is the next time we're going to come together around this. So that's one thing that, and it can be decided and sent out via the Google group. The other thing that came to mind for me was that, you know, each of us has brought through some pieces, and we can on our own with time start to think about how we want to integrate those pieces or something else that was brought through by someone else into something that we're already doing, as in the case of Maya. And I certainly got very excited about some pieces that someone else brought through. So I want to look at those pieces, you know, and to see what's coming through as a next related to that piece.
Thank you. This is Elizabeth. I think one thing that we can all do sort of right away is just to get to know our own watershed and familiarize ourselves with the issues of our own watershed, and begin building a data set just for what's around us, in terms of, even if it's just the creek we named, or, you know, how clean is it? How is there any other agency that looks over it? And who are those agencies? What are the contact groups? Are there other citizen water groups in your area? You know, just each one of us familiarizing ourselves, so that when we come back, we can have a little broader understanding of the dynamics of care in each of our own watersheds. And I think that could be a very simple thing to do. And I personally would like to plan a session for the 10th, for the Venus session. It seems like it's a good amount of time in between this and that.
What day of the week is that? I haven't looked.
Let me look here. So it'd be 5 days from now, and it would be the
No,
Friday.
It's Friday.
Friday.
And the 3rd is a Monday of August. So, you know, but overall, it can be flexible in terms of, you know, 9th, 10th, 11th. I mean, it doesn't have to be exact, but if you guys want to do it exact with the Mercury session, we can. It'll be around 10 a.m.
And then the other thing is that I got an invitation from the World Water Law, and they're doing an open session on July 26th, and I've put in a request to host a session, so I would continue this conversation there as well, and I'll give more information of that when it comes up, when I get a response.
Is that on their website at all, or?
I don't know. I can post that invitation.
Okay, and we can
In
add
our
it to our
group.
calendar and everything too.
Okay, so right now what's on the table is a possibility of a July 10th session, and what you were saying, it's 10 a.m., but it could be another time. How does that work with people who are on the call?
That would work well for me.
I can do that time and date, yes.
I would just ask if it could be a reasonable time for Hawaii, because 10 a.m. that's very early. I can get up early, but that's very early. So I would just, it's all possible.
Is it 3 hours difference from the Pacific time zone? Okay.
That's not that early. 7 o'clock then. Okay, I was thinking yesterday was 4 a.m.
Yeah,
That was just a little bit, just a little bit too much. 7 I can do. I'm happy to do 7.
And we can, we can just be flexible, but maybe push it around 11 noon, whatever. We'll push it back an hour or something like that.
Anything after 6 is okay. I'm
Yeah.
happy.
Okay, anyone else want to chime in around date or time of the next gathering? Okay, so do we have a few minutes to see a couple of minutes of this reflective video, or
Yes.
is it ready to go?
Yeah, it's ready to go. And I'll also say that if anybody wants to continue, Jay or anybody else that wants to keep heart streaming, I can stay on this Zoom for longer if people still want to keep going.
Right, thank you.
Okay, so I will share screen.
Yay. Oh, it's not.
There's the flow.
That's Fraser, yeah.
Yeah, there's the park bench.
There's latency happening, eh? It's jerking. Okay. Sorry, it is jerking. It must be.
It's playing smooth on my end, so.
Oh. Yeah, you can't hear the sound, or it's jerking. Okay.
Should I stop it? Oh, that's beautiful.
Wait, yeah, you can still see it. Is it jumping for anyone else, or is it just me?
It's running smooth for me here, so.
It's jumping here.
It's a little jumpy.
Yeah, yeah, it's just jerking rather. It's a smooth flow normally. I will put it up on YouTube. So anyways, it'll probably be able to watch it better.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Fraser. Thank you, Ishtako. Yeah.
Okay. Almost
Yeah,
done.
that's good. Thanks. It's good. Yeah. Good experiment. Okay. So shall we close with just, let's close with one Om, one sound together. So we'll just take one breath, inhaling together. That's a breath for ourselves. And the second breath for our circle, human and water. And on the third one, we'll sound an Om together, inhaling. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to the waters in your body. Thank you to the body of waters you brought into our circle. Thank you, Great Water, and all the 4 master elements in which you work. Until next time.
So thank you. I'm guessing that those of you that are still on want to keep sharing.
I think it's mainly just me and Elizabeth, and then Gina, Pressy, and Albina are here, and we all work together as
Great.
Afghan Community Network. So I don't know if Sta has anything else he wants to share, but it looks like everyone else had to get going, so that's fine.
Yeah. So Sta, you're still on. Would you like to unmute yourself and kind of jumped in the middle, but we'd love to hear from you.
I guess maybe he's not there.
Right.
So anyways, I want to make it really, really clear, because I think every time we do these check-ins after the sessions, there's not clarity, that I always prefer to take breaks before continuing, and usually that we just continue and there's no breaks, and then many hours sometimes go by. But anyways, unless you had something you wanted to do, like maybe we could just stop. I mean, I think you were kind of opening your space just to not have to close down or whatever, but if there's nothing else to go over, I think we're good.
No, I think I think we're good. I think we came to some good ideas. We'll see how well we progress with the next session, and I'll communicate with you with regards to that in terms of planning the next session, or just setting this on the schedule, I suppose.
And as far as the like, I'm very interested in anything and everything regarding this water open session. So that sounds really exciting, and that might be a focal point for the water groups and the water portal, and maybe that's really should be the focus, in the next amount of time. And then, maybe the July 10th is a quick check-in, just preparing for that, so.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, so the more information we can get about that, the better, because that's the first time I've heard about it.
Yeah, I'll send you the invitation as it was sent to me, and then we can do further research and maybe even touch base with with Jan and Shelley and find out more specifically what it is that they're aiming for.
Cool. And Pressy and Gino, did you have any other thoughts or ideas you wanted to add, or?
None on my side.
Cool. All right. I think we are good.
45.
It has been a pleasure.
Likewise, Jay.
Indeed, indeed, and yeah, just keep me in the loop on how things go and evolve with all the work you guys are doing, and also if you have any ideas or thoughts on the portal. But as of now, in my understanding, besides the July 10th scheduling, which is I think pretty much already done, and we'll get it up on the website as soon as we have that. Maybe it takes a couple days to get the Venus session website up. I don't have anything else on my plate. Like there's nothing else that I know of.
Wow.
What?
Awesome.
Is there something?
No. I'm just like, wow, nothing on your plate. That's
Oh
unusual.
no. I mean, I have I have tasks and responsibilities for all of the work that I do. I'm talking about working
No,
on
I'm-
the water. I'm talking about the water work. Like,
I'm teasing you.
oh, okay.
That was a joke.
Yeah, okay.
I did connect yesterday after our session with the group that Dana kind of brought in that did a field study with us. It was James and Jamin and that group, and went over to their conversation lounge. And they're an interesting crew. They would be a fun group to link up with and maybe do a mutual. And they're doing these Zoom. They call it the conversation lounge. So.
Yeah,
Go
well,
ahead.
I think we don't have any choice but to connect with them and understand more, because they got amplified by the harmonic convergence. They're basically becoming the primary open space of the entirety of the harmonic convergence. So if you saw the emails going out for the harmonic convergence, it's basically like, here's the schedule for the harmonic convergence, and then anything that's not the harmonic convergence is, boom, the conversation. Just go to them. So
Okay. Oh, that's interesting.
I definitely gonna go and try to check it out. I just don't understand it in terms of like, I mean, I guess you could just jump in and just see what happens, but it seems very it's like a dark hole of unknown, and it's just going in there and seeing what happens. So I'll see what but usually when I get involved in those kind of spaces, it gets kind of lost in I can't imagine the thousands of people interacting, the harmonic convergence, interacting with that and seeing what happens. But I'm gonna do my best and jump in and see where it
That's
goes.
amazing that there was no mention of that yesterday, and it was basically 6 of us, 7 of us, and I was the first neophyte to join them. They had their group, and then I was the first person from another group that joined them. And yesterday was their first lounge. So the fact that they've now become the full-on lounge for the harmonic convergence, like, are you ready?
I know, it's very, very interesting how all these things happen, and like, anyways, it is what it is. But there's groups and people have been working on these things for years and decades, and it sounds like they've been doing it for a couple days or a week. But hopefully it all works out and it goes somewhere. But I'll try to jump in and see if I can help them anyway. But it might just be chaos, or who knows, anything's possible.
No, they have pretty good protocols, and one of their biggest thing is certifiably compassionate.
Cool.
That they really encourage their that they have a certification for compassion.
Nice. Do they have the protocols on their website? Because I was looking for that. I didn't see anything.
I don't know. I didn't do that search. So they seem to be a fairly, I mean, I think you would appreciate their level of sort of protocol and openness and agreements and all that. They seem to be fairly much in alignment with what you do, Jay.
Cool. Well, I'll definitely be jumping on and learning and connecting with them.
And that's
oh yeah.
4 o'clock. That's at 4 o'clock, I think. Today they're opening the conversation.
I have no idea how it works or anything. Yeah, I mean, I thought maybe they were just open all the time, but I don't know. So the other thing I wanted to mention, besides that, at this time I don't have anything to do in relationship to the water group, is that the term that I heard that for me made the most sense is the what Mia said about the think tank, right? So for me, it's basically at this time, this planning group is a think tank of just random people coming together and thinking and putting out ideas. And I think that's in my perception, it's a very good vocabulary in terms of what we are. Because I know that you and Daniela are using this term council and council a lot. In my perspective, there's been no agreement that there is either an organization or a council. And so I don't know how other people feel about that, but I love the term think tank because that embodies just this very anamorphous open space that basically just coming together to think and give ideas and meditate together. So for me, that is the term that I would use. So I thought I should share that. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that sharing, and I'm in agreement that what we're doing now is a think tank to, and maybe the term isn't council. That's the thing about getting our language refined. Is the envisioning and inspiration for, like, we're certainly not a council now, right? And so we shouldn't be calling ourselves a council, but we are envisioning how to form councils, and even if we should, it's still all open, and I agree with the think tank. It's also sort of a love fest. It's not just about the thinking, it's really the feeling into it as well.
Yeah. And then in that same context, in terms of thinking about this matrix of all these different components and the idea of the wisdom watershed councils, it's possible that, because I've never heard come from anybody the idea that there would be a singular global council, yet at the same time we're talking about building a global, represented organization. So maybe there's an organization that's not a council, that it's literally its only purpose is to support the creation of councils at a local level, but that the actual organization itself has no power and doesn't actually do the council work. It actually is just there to support the co-creation of all of the councils and support the councils in their role to be empowered and co-create and see how it evolves. So in that way, you're creating an organization that in and of itself wouldn't be what it's trying to build. It would just be the organization that's trying to help other organizations get started up that would actually be building that. And that's similar to what we do in the African Community Network, where we are not trying to be anything. We're trying to support other organizations to do all of these activities. So in and of ourselves, we are not necessarily, for example, we're not the law, right? We're not creating law or doing any legal, direct legal things. We want to co-create new decision-making infrastructures that would exist independently from us. Yeah.
Right.
So that could be a concept.
And to a degree, educating, not just support, but I think a degree of educating as to why it's needed, why we're even doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
And eventually, I have envisioned a global council, but that the global council is an aggregation of the local councils.
Exactly. So you almost have to start with the local. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And however we can support the local councils, just nurtures it growing and until we do have, in fact, enough local councils that can link watersheds that can then be a global concern, a global. Yeah. Okay. I think we're good for now.
Okay. Yeah, and just let me know how things are evolving if you guys need any help and support. And I just so you know, this is I think the third or fourth time I'm saying this. I don't at this time have anything that anyone's asked me to do or anything to work on. And if people don't want me to work on, I would prefer people to just tell me that they don't have anything or don't want me to work on anything. So then I just know instead of being like, okay, well, there's nothing to work on, but it's all good. So anyways, it has been a pleasure. We'll connect in the future, and I will get, as soon as I get the website set up for the Venus session, I'll let you know. And then we
Okay.
can just plug in the time whenever people want to schedule for. And I'm most excited at this point in time from everything that I've heard about the World Water Law open spaces. I think that sounds the most exciting of everything, because that could be a really great opportunity to bring everybody together in a network. So that's really cool.
In a structured,
Yeah.
structured, non-structured space of creation.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
exactly. It's just, but it's it would be great if, like, for example, these other organizations wanted to collaborate and build something together. But it's better if just to go to them and bring everybody to where other organizations already are. Yeah. So
Right.
the key is that this interconnection of organizations. And right now we have Loving Waters, and we have the World Water Code.
Yeah, the
Is there
Codes
anything
for
else?
Healthy Earth and the World Water Law.
I think that's it, just the two, right? Is there anything else?
in terms of
Organizations.
organizations,
Water,
Loving Waters and that, and Jim's White Otter, I think, and Danalia has the Water Gratitude, but she's not really an organization. That's just her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I
Jim's
think
also involved in the World Water Council, right? I mean, not the World Water Council. Jim's also involved in Loving Waters.
Loving Waters, Jim is, yes.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, cool. Well, I'm excited about it all, and we'll see how it all evolves. And
Yeah.
it's it'll just it is what it is, and it'll just go and continue as it evolves. So it's good.
And I did want to just clarify with you that if at any point you need me to do some of the work to help alleviate your load, if you ever need it, just let me know.
I mean, I do so much, and it's just like every day, daily, I work like 50, 60 hours a week, or 40 to 60 hours a week. So in terms of the water stuff, the only thing is really just the portal. And so I'm gonna, which I helped build for you, had requested that, getting some of the portal together. So let's do that right now. I just need to add your email to the website and make sure that you are able to just co-edit that. And if you have questions on how to do anything, I can just talk you through. It's really simple. Not
great.
really simple, but it's simple enough to learn pretty easily. And then from there, in terms of anything related externally from the water stuff, because that's the only thing for the water stuff, is anything related to FCAN Community Network and like all the Unity work that we do. It's a completely open, organization. Anyone can get involved at any level, including budget decision making, anything. And we have a process for people who do want to get involved. So what we don't allow is people just to basically come in and do whatever they want and or not do whatever they want. They would come in and they would, the first thing is, having a clear document that explains their relationship with the organization. For example, are you volunteering? Are you getting equity? Are you getting paid? Like, that is the first step to knowing. So we don't really like people to come in and start volunteering without actually having understanding and agreement that they are actually volunteering, and or because we've dealt with in the past where people get involved and the next thing you know, they had expected payment or they expected some other sort of relationship. So that usually takes, like, I don't know, 20 minutes, a half an hour for people who really do want to get in the work. But I don't, the last thing I want to do is imply to anyone that the work we do is just like nonchalant. It's a lot of work, and there's 8 sets of taxes, and there's just like, it goes on and on and on. So people who do want to get involved, it should be open and transparent what they're getting involved in. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. But just let me know if you're ever interested in that. But let's take care of this Google thing real quick. So I'm opening up let's see, that's not the right one. So if I go into here, go to websites. Boom, websites. All right, so I'm opening up Water Unity website. Here we go. And then once I add you, you'll be able to add anyone else I think Glow would be a great person because she's technologically savvy and she's interested in the water. So
Yeah.
I won't add her without her knowing that she's being added and wanting to be on and help. So she told me like, yes, I want to help with the Water Unity portal. I would add her in a second. So I'm just gonna add you, and if you talk to her, you could add her yourself.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah. So let's see here.
It's 5 o'clock.
Add, share with others. Huh. Share with others. Okay, there we go, loading. And it says share with people in groups. All right. So which one do I do? Water.
Our world's water.
Our world's water at gmail.com. Perfect. Click. Got it. So I'm gonna send. So making you a editor, and send.
Thank you.
And I think that. I think it worked. Okay, so then the second part of this is I think there's two parts. There are actually three parts. There's the email Google group, which you're already a manager of. And I can make you an owner too if they need. I don't know. They're the same thing really. Then you've got the website, the web portal, which we just added you to. And then the third part is the Google Calendar. So the Google Calendar is part of the web portal because that's where you put all of the actual
and that's
schedule.
the schedule?
Yeah, that's the actual schedule. So without having access to the calendar, you wouldn't really be able to update the web portal, right? So let me just do that real quick. So if I come down here to the Water Unity Google Calendar, and then I do settings and sharing. And then we come down here and we go add people. And we're gonna do our world water Elizabeth. Perfect. Permissions. So I'm making you full permissions, changes, and sharing. So you'll be able to add anybody else that you want to. So the way you get on the Google Calendar is you have to go to your email. And then in the email you click on the button for like just add to your Google Calendar. So if you go to your Google Calendar, it won't show up. You have to actually go to your email and click on the button to add it. And then it opens your Google Calendar and you have to click on another button that says add it. So yeah, there's a double clicking button process. Otherwise it will never show up. And I've dealt with it so many times of being like, why doesn't it show up?
Okay, calendar added.
Great. All right, sweet. So that should give you and anyone you want to give full access to control and oversee anything related to the Water Unity portal that we put together. And it's still, obviously very preliminary, but if you need any help with it, let me know. And then the last part is that if we wanted to add logos, partners, links to other websites, it's really easy to do that. I just need logos and, we don't necessarily need permissions. We would just need, hey, we want to, making sure we want to do this so we know they want to collaborate, So,
okay.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
Yes, I think that's it from me. Blessings, love, Harmony. Thank you so much for all of this. This was amazing and really exciting. And I just, only good things come from here. And, for the next little bit, it'll be interesting to see how this whole harmonic convergence evolves with everything, because I'm sure there'll be some outcomes from there.
So I told you that I was going to write Mark Sims, but I actually wrote him and said, hey, Mark, this is a great event, but you don't have water anywhere in here. No mention of water, not once. Come on, dude,
Well,
invite water to the table.
It's not the only thing that's not mentioned in there.
I know.
So,
I know him well enough, and he knows me well enough that I can kind of rib him.
Good. Yes, we need that. But I am happy that they added the conversation in there, because that at least creates some space, but I don't know what that will be yet. So I'm going to go start experimenting and playing with the conversation.
Do you have the link to the conversation? Because I think they're opening now.
I think it's just the website, theconversation.cc, and then I think everything's on there, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't explored it enough to say.
Cool.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yes. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah.
I'm doing some laundry, so if you could get your stuff out of the dryer, my stuff will be done in 10 minutes.
Okay.
I have 2 loads to do, and then if you need to do some.
Why does it matter? I'm currently live broadcasting on YouTube, so you know.
It's
What were you saying?
5:15.
You just took off the whole vent from the thing in there, so actually you can feel the cold air coming out because it's completely like blocked by.
Oh my goodness, we're just filtering it. It's not blocked. Don't be silly.
It's taken off. It's immediately like cool down immediately in there. Unacceptable. I'm taking out the filters.
Don't you dare.